Making a video. Yay! Different subject for a change. I'll do probably some more warbles later, but for now we'll deal with pyro and logic. Yay! We've talked about logic before. People keep talking like logic's a thing, like math is a thing separate from reality. And it's not. The whole logic thing is just recognizing patterns, like the multiplication table or something. That there's rules to thinking. And the rule sort of is, you can't have a 3 be with 3 most of the time, and then on Sundays you turn 3 into 5. So all the math on Sundays is different than the math on Tuesdays, or some other kind of crap. That doesn't have anything to do with reality. Reality doesn't change the value of things on Sundays. And so that's bullshit. But it's not, it's like probability. People think, logically, okay, because we're here, because this matter exists on Earth, it happened, therefore it must be somehow easier to happen than something that's never happened. That somehow, because it happened once, it means somehow that it's more likely to happen than all the things that are equally improbable that never happened. And it's just not true. It's not real, okay? It's not a fact. So it's wrong. It sounds logical, but it isn't logical. Because there's no such thing as logical. There's the truth and the relationships in the truth of reality. The fact that when you put one of something and one of something within proximity of each other, and now you have two of them, is just a fact. Okay, it's a relationship fact. The fact that if you put them in categories of this is green, that is green, are now in the same category, and I can say things about them that has a representation, is just a fact. Nature is basically fractal in nature. Nature is basically, naturally fractaled. It's based on principles, these mathematical relationships. And so although it seems complex, it's built on a structure. And in that sense, if Piro wants to teach, or thinks that it's a good idea to teach kids that fact, I'd say that would be great. But if he's going to have rules of logic, okay, that in my opinion don't accurately describe the rules of reality, but instead are things like, well, the fact that it exists means it must happen all over the place because it happened here. That's not logic. That's not consistent with the rules of this universe. That's bullshit. So that's where this gets troublesome. See, logic is like probability, and I've explained. See, this is much nicer. I cut it. Yes, much better. I'm not getting cut to pieces. It's like probability, and I've argued that there is no such thing as probability in reality. It's an illusion created by our ignorance. Okay, that's all it is. We understand it's a fractal system, so we can fill in a lot of blanks reasonably well, but it isn't. It's a scheme. It's a trick. It's not doing reality. It's doing trickery. Because all that's really missing is our knowledge. There is no real uncertainty about outcomes. There's just uncertainty in our understanding. But we do understand that these scenarios, if played out, there are only this many variables that we have to account for so that we can establish a probabilistic outcome, because there are only a certain number of variables that we're ignorant of, and we can know that. So it's sort of like quantum math, in that you fill in the blanks, you fill in where your absence of information are, you fill them in with a range of possibility. And then you can do your math. And we do logic the same way, in a sense, where we fill in the gaps in our knowledge, but people fill those in with very false presumptions. So if you're going back to the foundations of logic, as if you were going back to the foundations of math, you'd have to do the 1 plus 1 equals 2. 2 plus 2 equals 4. 4 plus 4 equals 8. You'd have to go through all these rules of the math, identify the pieces, and then you can have the logical conversation. Now, we haven't done that. We have tons of words in our vocabulary, like probability, like spontaneous, like random, that don't have explicit meaning in reality. They are bullshit words, and they completely will break any attempt to do logic with them. They are like, they're just pie. They're made up shit. They're a definition of a relationship that has no resolution at our vision level. And so if you fill in these blanks with inexplicit numbers, or if you fill them in with, I think God did it, okay, and you premise all your new logic with that notion, that is essentially the same as saying 7 equals 15 plus 468. It's just completely going to break all the math. All the math is now ruined because you've broken the relationship, in the sense that at one moment 7 equals these two numbers, and over here 7 is rationally based on 1 plus 6. And you can't do that. You can't have it say two different things. And if you're going to say it's a real world based on real laws, and then you're going to create an artificial entity that's controlling it, you've essentially mislabeled and doubly defined reality. And that broken statement, that broken equation, is going to break all the other equations, because you can't change the fucking rules. There's one set, there's one reality, and the math won't work and logic won't work. It's the same mechanism, but there is no anything called logic. There's just relationships between things. Okay, that's all math is, and that's all logic is identifying the relationships. The relationship of my form to the process of natural selection. The relationship of the process of natural selection to the concept of replication. The concept of replication in relationship to chemical complexity. This is the logic, and it's just a description of reality. It's a model of reality. And you're just finding things that are consistent with the model, that don't overtly show themselves to be crap, and things that are inconsistent. But there's no point in saying, let's teach logic, if notions of nonsense are going to be the premises, the feed knowledge. The 1 plus 1s are going to be 3. If 1 plus 1 is going to equal 3, then there's no fucking point in knowing what logic is, just like there's no point in doing math if you get that wrong. Everything's broken. The logic will just be validate the errors you've made. That's all they'll do. They'll just highlight them, glorify them, make them cement, and screw that. Yeah. Yeah, so I think that's all that needs to be said. I mean, I think there is some value in understanding the concept of logic and the concept of non-contradiction, and just understand that if you do the modeling and you see that it goes oblong or it goes funny, that maybe you have to account for that, and maybe you'll have to examine your input information and realize garbage in, garbage out, and you have to fix the flaw. But people won't do that, so it doesn't matter. They will conveniently see what is pleasant to their eye. They won't see the truth until you call them out, until you call them liars. So there ought to just be a class in school called "You're a fucking cunt liar," and then get people to realize they have to tell the truth, and the truth isn't pleasant. There. Thank you very much. Till next time. Now here's the tree. It came down right on my just put up that fence, the deer netting. 2 hours later, this tree came crashing down on it. But, you know, missed everything, which is sort of fortunate. I mean, you know, missed the shed, missed the pool, just took out a little bit of fence. You know, carpenter ants appears, but they usually only infect a rotten tree anyway. So, it was probably doomed anyway. But, what a mess. Yeah. And such. Big tree. Last view as we leave. Yeah, it's that tree. Yay. Not really. So it's one of these microburst things, no doubt. Some sort of, like it was only in this 2 yards here, but you can see all the leaves around. So it's a big wind. And, yeah, big mess. Anyway, logic. No, I think we're done. Yeah, actually, logic. The logical thing to do is for me not to make an add-on to the video, because I've sort of said all that needs to be said. Logic is just another one of the words human beings made up to describe process. You know, a kind of process. And it's just it. It's just a made-up word. And the basic definition of it is that, yeah, 1 + 1 = 2. It's rules. Basically, and the rule is you can't contradict yourself. Okay, that's illogical. There's the gray heron every year, 20 years in a row or so. Anyway, yeah, you can't contradict yourself. You know, my cement things are gone. Shit. Yeah, I just pretended I walked on them. The rain. There's only 10 minutes of rain, but, you know, there's like 10 inches of rain in 10 minutes. It's horrendous. Hail by my house. Anyway, it doesn't matter. Yeah, you can't contradict yourself. There, that's the rule. And what's enough evidence to state a truth? You know, that because life is on Earth, therefore life must be in the universe, because there's zillions and zillions of planets, and some of them are like Earth. And because some of them are like Earth, that means they'll have stuff growing on them. Yeah, I mean, it sounds like logic, but it's not, because what's required is the proof of, you know, how did life start, and is life anything to do with Earthness? Or is life more complicated than Earthness? You need a lot more than just Earth, a lot more than just the right elements. And yeah, I think the answer is yes, because now you can do the logic of, well, planet Earth, billions of years with all the parts laying all over the place. How come the zombie phenomenon only happens once? How come the dead parts only become alive once? Yeah. That's a rhetorical question. Okay, but it's logical to ask rhetorical questions. So anyway, yes, it's just the contradiction thing, and then I'll argue that the other test for the logic of a statement is there an alternative reasonable theory? If there's an alternative reasonable theory, it's not that you've been illogical, it's just that you can't say it yet. It's not, if you're saying it as a truth, you're in trouble. So then you have to change the declarative nature of the statement. Or something like that. Yeah, I'm probably just making this unnecessarily, I'm trying to provide examples, and I probably shouldn't, because I'm tired. Yeah, that's a good excuse not to make examples. That sounds logical too, but all that is a rationalization. Rationalizations aren't logic. They're a kind of logic. a distortion, a perversion, a narrowing of focus to make something seem like it's the truth when it's not. Sorry, bugs. Little nasty fly type bug. Yeah, so that's a good example. I mean, a rationalization. So they always sound logical, but they're cheats. Oh, where's the light? Damn. Jesus, bugs, fuckers. Fucking earth sucks. Yeah, the life thing isn't so fucking good. There's a little too much life around me at the moment. Haven't been blighted by these little bugs before. I don't know what they're up to. Cigarette smoking was always good for that. Boy, you put a cigarette in your mouth and bugs do not want to fuck with you. Where was I? Most of them anyway. Yeah. So, so it's just a word. And you can't teach it beyond the fact that you have to. What needs to be taught is the fact that what can you deduce from circumstances, and what are the liabilities of incomplete information. There's rules of deduction, I guess you could call them, but maybe it shouldn't be called logic, I don't know. But it really is. Bottom line is brains automatically do it. We all know when we're cheating. We all know when we're distorting perspective, wishful thinking, wishful hoping, hopefully thinking, hope wishing, wish hoping. Yeah. Whoa, there's another one. Oh, holy shit, I've been fooled. I've been faked out all this time. That fucking cunt. He could have snuck up behind me without me seeing him. Oh, that's weird. Sorry, I mean, it's a gray heron thing. I mean, you can't tell one from another, right? I thought there was one all these years, but now I just saw a second one. That's fucked up. Yeah, that worries me. Holy shit. I'll just pretend I didn't see it. Yeah, there we go. See, I don't like a truth. I just say, I'll pretend and make it go away. That was weird, though. Okay, where was I? Looks smaller than the other one. Maybe this one's just trying the place out. Passing through town. Young rebel herons without a cause. Oh man, now I got a sniffle. There's a little puddle over here. I don't know if there's anything in it. It's puddly. I don't think so. It's kind of scuzzy. Bugs. Goddamn flies. Yeah, sorry. Alright, unnecessary ending to this video. It's excessive. Didn't need it. Superfluous. Tired. Alright, till next time. And such and so forth and whatnot. That's the logical thing to do, is just to go away. End this. So, till next time. Such. Truth. Truth is all that matters. Accurate descriptions of reality are the only thing that matter. Fly.